and welcome back to Youth on YouTube. It's good to see you. I cannot see you, but you can see me. As you can see, we're a bit different than last week. Last week was dress that I very rarely wear, makeup, and outdoors. And today, we are hoodie that I wear very often, indoors and no makeup, because we love a girl and a queen who can do both. This is quarantine chic. Maybe next week we'll go back to, model fashion, but this week we're here to get right down to it, to talk to you about the Word of God and His promises over your life. It's going to be good. It's going to be great. You're going to go to small groups. You're going to love it. You're going to absolutely love it. It's going to be great. Excited. Okay, so I'm going to get a little transparent with you for just a second. Ordinarily, when we have like youth group and I can see you all and I can talk to you and I can get like a read on where you're at, like I can say like, how's everybody doing? And like in the summer, everyone's like, ah! But then in like the school year, everyone's like, ooh, and it's like, okay, right, well, that's where we are. So I can't do that really like this. I mean, I could pop into your small group and ask you, but like some of you are in love with your small groups and you stay on past when I stay on Zoom. Not gonna lie to you. Nonetheless, I think, and from what I can read from through the screen and not seeing many of you in person, I feel like there are two camps right now for where people are at. There are people like some of our seniors who have just kind of gotten to the acceptance stage of grief and kind of like, this is my life now, like this is my new normal, settling into the new normal. Of kind of like, I thought I'd have these things, but I don't, and that's going to be okay, and I'm going to be okay, and it's okay. And just kind of accepted that like some things that they wanted are going to happen later. And there are some of you who are like, you know what, quarantine's not so bad. And I feel like I see a lot of people on TikTok like tanning and stuff like that, which I don't understand. Like, I mean, I get it, like, you know, if you weren't born with a beautiful natural tan, but, you know, like, there's people, like, tanning and just, like, having a good time and stuff like that, and, like, reading through book series and all that kind of jazz, and, like, making the best of their quarantine and, like, living their best lives now. And, like, I feel like that's the one camp of, like, I've accepted this is my new normal, like, this is part of my life now. One day, when I have kids, like, I'll be able to look back and tell them about that one time America was quarantined. And then there's the other camp of you and me that are drowning. Absolutely drowning. Like, it feels like everybody else is swimming out to sea and doing well, and they've got their boogie boards and they've got their lifesavers, and then there's me, and I'm in the middle of the ocean, and I just have water wings, and I am drowning. Drowning in self-pity, drowning in self-hatred, drowning in isolation and the feelings of isolation. There are some of you who are more emotionally intelligent about yourselves, and there are some of you who are less emotionally intelligent about yourself. Like, it's just a matter of knowing more or less about yourself. I am 25 years old, and I am still becoming more emotionally intelligent about myself. Like, times where there's no reason to get angry, I get angry, and then you get to evaluate it as you continue to mature. But there are some of you who've been angry for weeks and angry for days, and you can't figure out why you're angry, but you just are angry. And there are some of you who are sad, and you can't figure out why you're sad. You can't pinpoint a reason why you're sad. And you can slap it on quarantine, but there's something deeper still underneath it, and you feel yourself amongst the pressures of, like, you know, being the perfect kid, or being the perfect mom for our small group leaders, or being the perfect dad, or like, how's this gonna work, and everything. Like, the governor came back on today at 2 o'clock. Bless the Lord, he didn't move the stay-at-home thing, so like, that's great. But there's some of you who feel like you're drowning and you just can't get on top of all of it, because you could at least feel like you were on top of all of it when you have your normal routine, because there are certain things in certain areas where you naturally can just kill it. Like when you're feeling terrible about yourself and you do well on a spelling test, bam, killed it. Like, I have this one thing within my control and I'm killing it. And for some of you, like, you found things within your quarantine that are helping with that. But there are some of you that literally feel like you are in quicksand and quarantine is swallowing you whole. You cannot get enough Zoom time. You cannot get enough FaceTime. You're going to annoy your siblings and they just don't want to be annoyed with you anymore. Or your sibling doesn't like you. At me, until my sister left for college, it gets better to all my youngest children or all my oldest children. I just can't relate as well. Some of you need more time with just friends. Some of you are extroverts. Some of you are different numbers on the Enneagram, and there are different things that make you feel safe and different things that make you feel whole and different things that make you feel grounded that you just don't have right now. And it's causing you to doubt. And maybe you're doubting yourself. Maybe you're doubting God. Maybe you're doubting your place and like where you fit into your family. But for a number of you, you are fighting against this with everything that you have. Now, the other day, I actually had to cut my own dog's hair. I usually don't, so if you don't know, I have a golden doodle. He's black, though. He's a phantom golden doodle, and he's really cute, and he's precious, and I take him to the groomer once a month so that they can cut his hair, so it's their headache and not mine. And he, like with the change of the season, his skin was getting irritated, so I had to take him, and I went and I bought clippers. Then I got the wrong clippers, so I had to go back and get other clippers. And I'm wearing gloves in the store, and you can't even touch a doorknob in Target without it trying to kill you. So I had to go back to Walmart, which is the least safe place I can imagine right now. I had to go back to Walmart, and I had to get the right clippers, and they were expensive. And I was like, why are these expensive? And then I got the wrong shampoo because I was trying to solve the right problem with the wrong solution. So then I had to go back and get the right shampoo, and then I'm trying to wash him, and I have the kind of dog, like he's a 60-pound golden doodle, 60-pound minimum. We have a vet appointment on Monday. I will update you on how much exactly this dog weighs. 60-pound beast fighting me in a soapy bathtub who won't roll over on his belly so I can get him clean, and won't roll over on his belly where he has this irritation on his skin, and I'm trying to do everything I can to love him. I'm trying to do everything I can to help him, and he won't receive my love or receive my help. He's fighting it, and he literally, you should have seen it. You should have been there. You should have helped me. Obviously, you knew what was going on in my life. He is in the bathtub. He's got 4 legs because he's a dog, and they are spread out against the sides of the bathtub, and he's like clenching as much as you possibly can to stay on his feet and stay in control of this moment. While I am like, I've got the kind of dog that you have to put on like a whole wetsuit to wash him because you're in the splash zone. So I'm trying to flip him, and he is holding on with everything that he has. And it just reminded me that that is you and I when it comes to the love of God. Yeah. Jesus is doing everything he can. Did you know that the Bible says that Jesus sits at the right hand of God and intercedes for you always? Jesus is doing everything that he can to love you. Everything that he can to love you. Making every opportunity to love you and to allow you to walk into the freedom that he died on the cross for and resurrected this past Sunday. Holla at your Easter. He is giving everything he has to love you. And some of you just won't let it in. And there's a voice in the back of your mind that says, I don't deserve it. I don't deserve it. I haven't earned it, and I just can't. I just can't accept it. I just can't let that in. I can't believe for myself. I can't believe for a better future, and I can't believe for a better now because I can't see it. You can't see where you could thrive in your quarantine because most of you, by the power of Zoom, FaceTime, and the internet, are surviving, not thriving. This is an opportunity to thrive. It really is. It doesn't feel good, but you can grow in this. Did you know that you actually have all that you need? And I know it doesn't feel like it. It doesn't. It sure doesn't feel like it for me because I had to go back to Walmart twice to get the right clippers and the right shampoo, and I definitely didn't feel like I had all that I needed, and I didn't have all that I needed. I still need to go get Drano because dog hair is thick, and I still need to go get chicken because I'm tired of my recipes using shrimp, and I still need to go get more oregano because I keep using it. I'm just saying, spices are a powerful thing. I am almost out of soy sauce, let me tell you. I have things that I physically need, but in my heart and within me and within the Spirit of God, I have everything that I need to emotionally, spiritually, and mentally thrive in this season. Paul says it best, and it's in Hebrews. Is it in Hebrews? No, it's not. It's in Philippians chapter 4. Thought you caught me for Philippian, but you didn't. Philippians chapter 4. Paul says, "Not that I am speaking of being in need, for I have learned in whatever situation I am in how to be content. I know how to be brought low. I know how to abound. In any and every circumstance, I have learned the secret of facing plenty and hunger, abundance and need. I can do all things through him who strengthens me." Now, I talked earlier about how some of you can't seem to accept the love of God, can't seem to accept that he is with you and that he is for you. And you hear that sentence right there. And I know this because it was me. And it's still me in some areas of my life where I am just too dirty and broken and wrong for God to really step in and it'd be like, will he really strengthen me? And as some of you are thinking, can he strengthen me through this? Will he strengthen me through this? Is he giving me strength for right now? But here's the thing. If he'll bring you to it, he will bring you through it. One more time for the note takers. If he'll bring you to it, he will bring you through it. And there is nothing that disqualifies you from that. That is a promise. And there's a voice inside of your head that disqualifies you from the promises of God and puts question marks on them. And that voice has a name. It is the chatterbox. One push-up, that's what we need. We need one push-up. Okay. Come down. Okay. Sorry. Camera cut out. We're back. So, if he'll bring you to it, he'll bring you through it. And it says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. He brought you to quarantine, right? Like you didn't do that by yourself. You didn't just spread the coronavirus or anything like that. So we believe in faith that he will bring us through it. That he will give us strength for this. Because just as he died on the cross for your sins and mine, he died so that we could be made one and made whole and reconciled with God the Father who gives strength. You can have strength. And you're not disqualified from it. But the enemy comes to lie to you and comes to tell you, the chatterbox comes to tell you, you're disqualified from that. You are too dirty. You are too stupid. You are too this. You are too that. That doesn't count for you. And puts a question mark on the promises of God because he can't take the promises of God away from you. So you need to know not only what they are, but recognize the voice of the enemy and choose to hear the voice of the Lord over it, which means you need to know what he says about you and what he says to you. I am 25. I am your youth pastor. I went to Bible school, but I refound a beautiful promise from the Lord in Hebrews chapter 11. That's right. I actually went to Hebrews, which I meant to do. Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1. Now faith is the assurance of things hoped for and the conviction of things not seen. Skipping down to verse 6. And without faith, it is impossible to please him, for whoever would draw near to God must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who seek him. Must believe that he exists and rewards those who seek him. Now, there's a chatterbox in your heart and in your mind that says, do you really seek him? Do you really deserve a reward? Have you earned that? Is that for you? And by the blood of the Lamb and the word of your testimony, he died and resurrected so that you could be made one with him and seen under the image of Christ so that that does apply to you. And doubt your doubts before you doubt your God. There are some areas of your life where it is important to have a healthy amount of doubt. There is. But when doubt creeps in to tarnish or wear away or rust the promises of God in your life and in your heart and in your mind, doubt is like a telemarketer, and the best solution is not picking up. How many times have you gotten into a war with your doubt where it feels like you're a cat playing with a ball of string because you just keep unraveling and can't seem to have the right answers and I just don't know enough verses and I'm just not smart. Just don't engage with it at all. At all. That's right. That's a choice. That is a choice. You can choose to just believe past it. What if you're not good enough for this? Well, God is good and he died on the cross for my sins because he loves me and he's with me. And if there's something in me that needs to change, he will clearly point it out to me. And it's just like Adam and Eve in the garden. And you and I, don't think that you're better than Eve because you're not. I'm not, you're not, he, she, we, they, not. We're not. She saw the goodness of the Lord. She felt his presence. He was near to her. He was not far away. He wasn't distant. He walked in the garden with them. She was created. He breathed his breath into her, like took out Adam's rib, created her, like made her, saw the goodness of God. And you see the goodness of God in your life. And we so often forget because a serpent swooped in and told her a half-truth that seemed like the whole truth, that just tarnished it for her and put a question mark on the promises of God. Hey girl, did God really say you couldn't eat anything in the garden? Which is a lie. And she comes back and she knows the truth. And she's like, no, it's just that one tree. And then the serpent comes back, hey girls, because God don't love you. He don't want you to be smart and wise and be like him. And then she got to questioning the character of God, a God she had seen. You've never seen God in person. You haven't. You don't live in the Garden of Eden. I know. And that just makes it all the more difficult to believe that his character is good. But if what this word says is true, he is so good. And he is so real. And he is so present in your life right now, even though you can't see him. And here's what happens. God comes, he's walking through the garden, and he's like, Adam, where you at, bro? And Adam's like, I hid because I was naked. And then he looks at him and he says, who told you that you were naked? And Stephen Furtick puts this beautifully. And God's not asking that question for a geographical location on the person who told you the lie. God knows what happened. He made the garden. He is omnipotent. Hello? Big brain. Jesus. He looks at him and he says, who told you that you were naked? And it's got this wonderful implication that's brought out in this book. This book is $7 on Thrift Books. Go buy it. You have more time to read than you've ever had in your life. It'll change your life, but you'll never read it. So I'm going to keep talking to you about it. Anyway, he looks at him and he's like, who told you that you were naked? And there's this implication just at the end of it. Because it wasn't me. And it wasn't. And Stephen Furtick just unpacks this for you and I. And just the perspective of God, because it sure wasn't me. It's time to locate the lies and the liars and reject the labels they've created. I believe the voice of God is calling us out of our hiding with a question that once and for all exposes and embraces us. Who told you that? Who told you that you were unworthy of my love until some future point in time when you cleaned yourself up? Who told you that you couldn't be forgiven of that one sin while you're still struggling with it but desire to overcome it? Who told you that the way you look is abnormal because of a feature that society may deem unattractive? Who told you that the skills and gifts I have given you aren't much good and won't make much of an impact? Who told you that when you speak, people are just waiting for you to shut up because you never have anything good to say? Who told you that you are coming up short and will always come up short as a parent, as a spouse, as a son, as a daughter, even though you're growing and you're trying? Who told you that you were stuck and doomed to die just like you are right now because of the thoughts and actions that have dominated your life up until right now? The serpent gets nervous. The enemy, the accuser of the brethren, gets nervous when we start challenging the doubts, dysfunctions, and insecurities his questions have propagated in our lives. When we discover what God has really said, we embrace the liberation that leads to fulfillment. This fulfillment doesn't simply enable us to be happy, tranquil, and actualized. It equips us to start answering the questions according to what God says and not what we see. Jesus didn't die on the cross for you to have a half-life of believing in yourself only up to a certain point, of being confident only up to a certain point that makes sense, of believing in him and embracing his freedom and embracing his love and his light and the love he wants to give you up into a certain point. Jesus gave his whole life so that you could have a whole life in him. And you and I so often pawn that off and throw it away over the question marks that the enemy poses. So it's time for you and I to crash the chatterbox, to recognize the lies and the liar and combat them and eliminate them with truth. I'm not saying your life will ever be perfect, but I'm saying that you can be a lot less miserable than you are. So go ahead and click the link in the chat. We're going to go to small groups. You're going to play a game, which is going to be fun. And we're going to get deeper into this. You are going to get out of your small group what you put into it. So if you put in authenticity, you will get out healing. I love you. Can't wait to see you next week.